right? It starts from the people sitting next to you, or things happen in the school, or within the same district or community. It could be about, elderly people. It could be about your family, your students, teachers, or even environmental friendly issues, stuff like that. We are encouraging our students to pursue their dreams in Hong Kong every day when they're going to school. And then I remember that day I was like 7-year-old, and then I was going home after school with my friend, and then I found that there's a homeless man just right outside our school. So I had an idea of buying him a lunchbox. So I asked my friend for money, and we don't have enough money, so that we had an idea. We went back to the school and asked for more money from our classmates. So chip in like 50 cents, $1, and then there is a homeless man, poor man outside our school, and we'll buy him something. But then we don't have enough money. We're like primary 2 kids. So around 30 years ago, we start to, our first crowdfunding project. Okay, we went back to the school and asking people to, ask for money. But then it doesn't work, because a few days later, the day after day, we still haven't got enough money. So we're still collecting from our friends. And then I remember that day I was having my geography lesson, and then the discipline teacher came over and knocked the door. She was in a very angry mood. She was like, who here started collecting money? Stand up. And I was like, very scared. We don't know, we're like committing a crime. We don't know what happened. So we stood up, and then I asked, yes, we did. What's going on? And then she said, do you know, if you need to collect money, you need to have a license in Hong Kong. Otherwise, it's illegal. And then I was like 7-year-old, how possibly I could imagine that? So we were punished for, not doing it properly, legally. Actually, this experience I blocked out for many years, and then this few years we started social innovation, and then I was counting how many good deeds I did when I was small, and then this story just popped up. And then I was like, okay, we grew up like that in Hong Kong. Very traditional. We're very scared of making mistakes. We're very scared of trying new things because we don't want to do wrong. In Hong Kong, people say it is really luxury to have a dream, because you need to, follow the rules. You need to follow, the expectation of others. It's called a test of change blindness. It's a state of the mind, it's a state of your brain that sometimes you don't detect any change when you're too focused on something. So imagine if we're having the lessons now, and then the fluffy thing came over, and then we don't know it, okay? It will be very dangerous. It causes you danger, right? So what happened in life, or what happened when you go to work, and then you don't realize the change? That's something happening in our education system. If you were a doctor 100 years ago, and then now you travel time machine and came to the world now, you could not go to the hospital and just work, right? Because everything is different. Medicine is different, the technology is different, and you can no longer be a doctor. But some people say if you were a teacher 100 years ago, and then today you went into this classroom, you could still teach. Things don't really change that much in education. So I think you would, all of us are students, right? So we would understand the feeling of how the change is very slowly. As students, many a times, especially Hong Kong students, we are described as lack of innovation and a lack of passion to dream big. Apart from this, we have some very alarming figures which tell us that 27% of our students in Hong Kong, they are actually, considering hurting themselves, or even to a point of committing suicide. And a very striking number, 40% of our students are actually reported feeling depressed. 40%, so 1 out of 2 students are feeling depressed. So this is a very big problem for us educators. And he mentioned one thing, the aims of education. He said there are 2 aims. If you are about to, explore your career in education or social innovation, you should take a look at this. He said the aims of education are to enable students to understand the world around them, the first aim, and the talents within them. So if you were a teacher, you forget about the books. You don't teach the subject. Actually, you go inside the room and you tell yourself you want the students to understand the world around them and also the talents within them. You heard my stories when I was 7 years old, right? And then when I graduated, I became a teacher. I was a very ordinary teacher. I studied in Hong Kong. I studied in Hong Kong U, and then I went to Australia, studied education, and then came back to serve as an English teacher in a local school. I had a wonderful time there, and I had wonderful relationships with my students, and I learned a lot about education system and how it is disconnected from the world around our students. It broke my heart when my students graduated and then they were so lost. They don't know what to pursue, even though they're very talented. Many of them are very talented in sports. Many of them are very talented in making movies. But these are not the talents that we recognize or assessed in the public examinations. So they're very lost. So that's why we need to look at the well-being of our students and also the skills and knowledge that they are learning. It's very disconnected from the world. So this is a World Economic Forum research. It says that 65% of the jobs students will be doing in future do not exist yet. So I think this research is based on the student who is really studying in primary school. But I think now you're studying here in UST, maybe a few years later, it also happens to you that the thing or the job that you want to pursue or you want to apply may not be existed in UST yet. There's no faculty in this school yet. So what does it tell you? What skills do you think is the most important, if not the subject matter?
Learning.
Yeah, learning.
Learning how to learn.
Learning how to learn.
Creative thinking.
Creative
Thinking.
thinking.
Adaptation.
Adaptation, yes. The ability to learn, pursue something over a period of time. Learn something new, yes. Keep learning, yes. And how many hours that you spend in all of those things when you are studying in primary school and secondary school? The teachers teach you about that? I always ask my teachers when we're doing teacher training, within 24 hours a day, how many hours that we spend to teach students stuff that you said? Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, learning to learn. None, right? Your English teacher came into the room. Today we're talking about present perfect tense. Look at the screen. Now, first 5 minutes we're going to do an ice-breaking game, right? And then I'm very happy, la la la. Time the bell goes and then boop, and then you go, right? Any problem solving or learning to learn those? No, we're not trained to deliver that kind of training as teacher. So this is a very big problem. That's why in 2016, DreamStarter was founded. So for this program, we also draw the community effort. We also draw the people who would like to help students into the schools. So we will do the matching and bridging also. So you can see these are pictures taken in the DreamStarter class. We start from this one, the UN Sustainable Goals. This is a very hot topic, right? The first lesson we went into the class, we talk about this with the students, with primary one, starting from primary one. We tell them, okay, there is a lot of things that we cannot solve as adults, but you can. So let's take a look, like environmental issues, poverty, hunger, well-being, education, and they could choose a topic that really, comes to their mind with really they feel painful about it, and then they would think of something to change. The second lesson, we talk about design thinking, because many times we stay in a room, right? We think, oh, we have brilliant ideas, let's start doing the prototype, and then let's start thinking about our service, and then our project. But then they don't have an idea. If they don't have a chance to go out of the classroom and really talk to the people that they care about, they go to the park and talk to the elderly people, and they go back to do some research, it's not human-centered enough. And then many times they will do something that is already existent, or it's useless to the subject that they want to help. So the second lesson, we want to go through a design thinking workshop with them, so that the things that they design are really human-centered, And then I want them to fail fast also. So if this is not working, then they will do it again, test run, and do it again, test run. So this is the basic concept of design thinking. It goes through the 5 steps with that. And then we also do teacher training. Now this is a very important thing because it's like that we are doing a movement to drive the students to change. But actually the most important person that we need to change are teachers. Because they are the facilitator, in my word, the cheerleader of the students. They don't need to really know how to do that. Like for example, in one of our schools, the student thinks that there is not enough facilities in the school because it's an underprivileged school. So they want to build a tree house. But how would an English teacher know how to build a tree house, you know? They don't know it. So all they need to do is they just throw the question on the table and then sit back and then let the students come up with the idea. Okay, who to call? Okay, do any of your parents are working in construction site, or we have materials, we have wood, we have bamboo? Oh no, okay, let's forget it. Okay, let's Google, all right? And the second thing is let's Google, or we make some cold calls, or we do. So there's a million of ways that you can take steps to do that, right? And it's not the teacher dominating. Okay, you be the CEO, you be the COO, and then you allocate work. No, it's really self-driven. It's really from the students. They want to do that by themselves, and the teacher is only facilitating. You think that this is very easy, right? Oh, the students don't need to do anything. But it's the mindset. It's the mindset that could ruin everything. Because teachers want to take control, right? When we were studying education in Hong Kong, you know what is lesson plan, right? We need to do lesson plan. First 5 minutes is warm-up game. And then 20 minutes is this, blah, blah, blah. So teacher is always in charge. But when it comes to dream, you can't in charge. You don't know when there will be a good idea coming up, and then you don't know when the backer will come up, right? So you cannot plan like 4 lessons later, there will be a backer, and then we can arrange a visit, and then we can collect some money from them. No, you are very uncertain about the journey of your students. We also organize an annual big event for our students to show off their dreams. This is called the Pitching Day. So last year we break the world record, the largest number of students pitched in the same venue.
This is Cyberport. It's bigger than any of the events ever.
Worldwide, yeah. It's involving 11 schools and over 2,500 students from Hong Kong. They really have the chance to stand on the stage and tell the world about their dream. The purpose of it is, to really boost their self-esteem, of course. You want them to know that their voices are heard. And then we also invite a lot of people like NGOs, CEOs, corporates, bank, everybody to sit in the audience and listen to the students and really connect them instantly. Like if they heard the dream and then they could provide some help financially or some expertise to help, they could really do that. So students will all dress up and to advocate their dream. And on the spot, they could really, talk to the dream backer, okay? Because you will find that the dream is very hard to fulfill just by the students themselves. They will need to draw the resources from the community. So every one of the project, they have a booth, and then they have a QR code. So if you're interested in sponsoring them or supporting them, as a student or volunteer also, you don't need to really pay money or what. So you want to care for them, you can just scan the QR code and then leave your contact. And then the students will be very encouraged because some people also care about what I care, and then let's do it together.
Then we're going beyond primaries to move into secondaries now and so on. And then we're also moving in some of the IDs beyond local schools and so on. So when we start, it's only focusing on one school, so we want to try something. And think about the model, as a startup, this actually goes very fast. And then and hopefully we become even bigger this year, having the government support to actually drive it and so on. So this actually is something that's really amazing, I think, during the last few years.
I'm really inspired by
the design thinking initiative that you implemented in firm school. But how about your own design thinking process? So how do you identify the need at that particular school? How do you and why do you choose that school as a starting point?
It's interesting. We were searching for a solution. So just like you jumped to solution quickly, right? So we were searching for a solution, and then we went to Germany, we went to Denmark, we went to Finland to actually learn about how people are doing it and so on. And we saw very happy kids. But is that a solution looking for a problem? I don't know. But we obviously have some problem. So, but how do you start is actually very interesting. And then I must say it's also related to chance. And to us, okay, first thing about design thinking, you need to start finding the empathy. You need to walk the road of the difficult path of these people. Obviously, B have been a teacher before, but this one school that we're working on, it's actually called Rainbow School. You can go online and search. This is very strange. This principal of the school, when he became principal, he's the youngest principal in Hong Kong. He was 33 when he became principal. Normally it's 45 before he became principal. So how did he become principal 12 years before everybody else? Is he very good? Or actually it's completely the other way. Nobody wants to be the principal of the school because this school only have six class, 5.1 to 6, one class each. So if they don't receive 22 people next year, the school will be closed down. So if you're a surgeon at a certain age, you don't want to do too many surgeries because it's risky. It might pull down your grades.
They made a movie about this.
Yes, they actually on that movie for that. Yes. So not but it's
Oh, that's what Tom
yeah. But they made another movie having on something actually a mini movie online. Anyway, but it's famous. You go online and check it out. So he's very young. The school is dying. So nobody cares. So no real 45-year-old would-be principal wants to do it because that would put down the curve. And then but he's one of my mentees. And then he came to me and said, well, this is something, should I go and take it? I said, why are you talking about this? It's only 3 months from the start of school, so very likely they couldn't find somebody. So because of that, I asked him the question, so what does it have to do with you? He said, this is a good chance to actually make the change. Because it's dying anyway, so anything cannot be worse. And for him, personally, the only danger is if it fails in 6 months, then he go back to teach. So and in 10 years he will still become principal. But this is a good chance. So there's an opportunity and there's a danger. So he actually see that as an opportunity. So he actually go do it. So within our team, the few of us early founders, we have somebody who will actually this is one of the poorest schools in Hong Kong. It's in West. It's one of the oldest districts. So one of the reasons where there isn't enough students is because there isn't enough kids around there. But because of that, we actually been able to actually change quickly. And because of that, the number of teachers are smaller. Those that are willing to actually stay, it's actually smaller. And in the first 2 years when we try it, we actually bring in a lot of new teachers. Change management is something that he talks about, and change management is actually not easy because you have multiple stakeholders. In this case, who are the stakeholders? The kids, obviously, the parents, the teachers, the administrator, the principals, the government, and us. So when we go into it, we are engaging everybody, and most of the parents don't really care because the school is dying, so maybe they have a chance. And then that's why we actually been able to actually do something completely different from there. And because of that, we actually walked the difficult path with them. And because of that, I joined the school sport the second year. So top down, and then working with the principal, we'll be able to actually look into the case. And the board was thinking the school is dying anyway, so might as well try something. So we can't try something new. And normally I don't get into it in a school because I'm an entrepreneur in in a school board is dangerous. But in this case, it's actually a very old style conservative organization that runs the school. But it's okay. They actually allow us to do it. So in a year or two, we've been able to actually go in and actually try it out. One of the things that Principal G also finds out is that within the school calendar, we actually be able to actually do it. So we actually turn the afternoon into the dream sections, and then so we have more time to actually do it. It's not extracurricular. It's not an option. It's part of full-time work of the teacher. So you need to convince the teacher, but the boss is there. So at least the boss. Okay, this is the first year. But it's so difficult because everybody's saying that this is a dying school, nobody cares. And because it's a dying school, the benchmark is very low. And one of my normal saying is, in Chinese there's a saying that failure is the mother of success. I like to say that being successful makes you even more successful. So this is the social media time. So when you go online and check, you find there are also all kinds of coverage of this school. So when they have one kid doing this interesting project, second kid doing this interesting project, it's being publicized online, newspaper, magazine, TV, and so on. So suddenly the school becomes a sensation. And because of that, second year people will say, wow. First year they'll say, well, they'll die. The second year they'll say, wow, this is something that we need to be aware of. So there are people that would actually come along and actually do a change there. But it's very different from day one to now already. So we changed a lot. So in this course we didn't talk too much about startup model, but one of the startup models is to build the minimum viable product. So during that time we built a very minimal product that we actually tried, and we change over time. We actually scale through it and so on, and then that's how. But now we couldn't find a space to actually host this thing. Because last year we had 2 days already, so we had some by December this year, how do we do this and so on. So but we don't know, but we grow along, and you need to change very quickly. So not easy.
To answer your question, I think one of the things that I like about design thinking is it's not a linear process, right? It is ongoing, and I would say we are still within the design thinking process. Still, we are in the third and the fourth stage, ideate and also prototype. We're trying out new things, and then some things that we think it is not working, we take away, and then some things that we think we need to add. Like every year we add on new things. Like the first year we don't have UN sustainable goals training and the design thinking training for teachers, but we see there is a need there because the first year, okay, that in that school we run quite well because the teachers they are quite prepared for change. But when it scales up to 5 schools, some of the teachers they may have reluctance to pursue that kind of new innovative education project. So we could add some support to that. So that's why we have all kinds of training. And this year we try out Dream Talk, like TED Talk, but it talks about dream, talks about driving change, and we invite celebrities, we invite people who are really change making in Hong Kong to give a talk. Not necessarily principal or teachers, but people who is really driving change. So we are doing all sorts of prototyping also. And I'm glad that we're still, learning, and then we don't say, okay, let's stop here and then let's go, and then this is the perfect system and everybody should copy that. We're still learning.
We didn't sit down to do a 5-year P&L business plan projection. This is only the 4th year. So we changed so many times already. But this is how change works. To the bell curve. So here, this is the A, B, C, D, so on. And then basically, these are the early adopters. So this is above 5%. That's above 5%. These are the laggards, so don't touch these guys. How to do it. But this is the early adopter. So this is a 33-year-old young guy. Oh, nothing to lose. Might as well try it. Something like that. All right. This is the 58-year-old supposedly. That okay, I'm retiring, so don't touch my stuff. Something like that. Okay, but that's an interesting thing. So these are real people that before you have to talk about the problem, they say, where do I jump? Where do I jump? And then they can actually jump and actually do it. Okay. This is B. The B sections of the people are the people that's above average, doing okay. This might be a Band 1 school. This might be teacher, pretty good middle class school somewhere out there. The inertia of this is very great. they have no interest to change because they're doing pretty well already. This is a crazy guy. These are the people that's interesting. These are the people that's I'm below the curve. Anything I do would be able to actually move me up. So if this is 5%, this is 47.5%. So if we are able to actually move this over in the second phase, you will be able to actually change the whole thing. And so suddenly, all these move over. And these guys suddenly were saying, the big guys were saying, well, what happened? We were doing pretty well, but somehow all these new things are coming out. So by doing that, you actually be able to actually change the whole thing through the whole process. And it's not easy. This whole process is not easy. This actually, it's originally from a Harvard Middle School case, which is called Crossing the Chestnut. The early adopter, it's actually easy to find. The crazy people, before the new iPhone comes up, they go and buy it, you queue it and buy it, the suckers. And then there are people that say, I'll wait. And then there are people that doesn't care. But very interesting. Second year, we have a principal that's 55, 57 years old that actually jumped in, which we don't even expect. And he actually told us that because he's retiring soon, there's not much to lose. This is what he wants to do 30 years ago, but there's no chance to do it. So suddenly good things come. So good things attract good things, and then suddenly so we start going from one school, poor school, to multiple district, rich school, poor school, middle class school, all the different schools, and then technology-driven school, art-driven school, all the different things together, and kind of we go through the process and actually move the whole process. It's not easy. But this I can say it wasn't the plan. We don't know who was fitting well. We need to find these people. Right.
So like currently, what is the scale like in terms of like implementation in different schools and districts around Hong Kong? Like how many schools already adopted? Like 11 schools, 3,000
people
teachers and students. And are you guys still looking to expand this basically while developing more ideas towards the program? Yes, basically.
Yeah, so I think I just want to add to that because I feel like it would be a little, I just quickly add to that. So they're organically growing really, really fast, and the government, the recent budget has also has a funding promoting very much this basic idea in all schools. So that means what they're doing is it's on the right track and everyone needs it.
It's not easy. We're moving to the next phase where supposedly we're thinking 1, 5, 10, 11, and then maybe 50. Get to 50 in maybe 2 more years. But we were now targeting about 25, and suddenly the government saying, "Oh, we told you so. Learning should be happy." Right? That's what the government like, right? All the good things are theirs. And they said, "We told you, obviously. Can we? When do we pay?" So they actually. Yeah. So.
Where's the cashier?
So when the chief executive were elected about 1.5 years ago, she said she wanted to put $5 billion per year recurring new funds into education. And last year, after working very hard, she can only find 3.5 billion new students. So, but now it's up to the 5 billion. So basically, they announced that they have $900 million per year recurring.
Yeah.
So we need to scale up 50 times.
So I just want to track back a little bit because we have me here. We can always ask her all kinds of questions, right? Make good use of. I'm taking full advantage while we have me. So I think it's very different. I can imagine working as a teacher to becoming an entrepreneur. It's very different into first of all making that decision, making that jump. What is that like in terms of what are the decision-making process like? What are the dilemma? What are the things that that push you to do this? I'm sure the story will be very different if it comes from her side. It's fun. It's the right thing to do, so I'm doing it. Right?
To be a teacher. This is a teacher 10 years ago.
Yeah. So please, do you mind sharing at the beginning? How has that happened?
I started in a secondary school for 4 years, and I realized that I need to change a position to help my students. So I quit after teaching 4 years, and then I went to corporate world. I work in an education business company, which they liked my background because I was from really education and training. So I started off as a trainer, delivering training on people skills. So we start from teaching students from 3-year-old to 18-year-old about self-esteem, how to improve their self-esteem, anger management, adversity coping, people skills, communication skills. Because at that moment, I think that soft skills are also very important apart from English, because I was teaching English in the secondary school. So I was working there for a few years as a trainer, and then I was doing very well. So they moved me into another title called assistant marketing manager, because I could talk to the parents, I could really, market the product. And then at that moment, we realized that we need to have more products because the training product. So we have a team, professors from MIT, from Michigan University, from Washington University, which some of them really full-time fly to Hong Kong and station in Hong Kong. And 8 hours a day we work in a room and then to talk about what kind of games that could really, change the brain, change the mind. Because some of the professors, they are really brain surgeons. Back in the university, they are doing research on monkeys, on gorillas, and then they will stimulate the gorilla, and then which part of the brain will, activate? Yes, and then we'll do more on this. So they are really expertise in the brain training and how we balance the left and right brain. So we talk about dual brain processing and assessment, IQ tests, stuff like that. But then, and then I keep, promoting from marketing manager to business development manager. And then we start to have more and more schools. We are the brand owner, we have more products, and we start to expand our products from 0, 8-year-old, not start from 3-year-old. We start from 7 months babies. We can train them. Yeah, actually 7 months baby you can already train them problem solving. Like for example, babies who have higher problem solving skills, when you put something in front of them and then you hide them. Babies who are smart, they will go at your back and look for it, and you can really train that kind of skills. So the more training you goes through, the baby will be more curious about the world. You're looking for solutions and stuff like that.
You mean iPad?
No iPad. But later we also develop online learning.
Okay.
So this is really effective. You start small and you can really open up your brain and you can be more curious. You can improve your all kinds of skills. But then after working for 8 years in that company, I already promoted right under CEO, and then I was in charge of the regional development. Like we built more schools in many cities, like in China, in Singapore, in US, in
But those
Australia.
programs or products are kind of outside of the education system, if I'm understanding correctly.
Outside, yes.
Okay.
It's you need to be quite well off to go through that program, because our annual fee at that moment, our annual fee is like 30,000 Hong Kong dollars per year.
Oh, per year, annual
But
fee.
every week you only attend 2 hours. So it's like your school fee here, annual fee, but every
So you only come to school for 2
2
hours
hours every week.
And I think they'll be happy with that.
So it's quite premium. It's
Right.
premium household, middle class parents that would send their kids to these kind of training. And but for me, of course my position changed over the years. Every year I got a new title, and I learned a lot because I learned how to build a school from scratch. It's a franchise model. I could really 裝修都識㗎啦，即係 how to renovate a site, how to choose the best site, how to
So you
renovate,
already
what
kind
kind
of
of colors,
entrepreneur.
what kind of colors will help the babies to learn better. So I just take a break, and then I want to know what I can contribute in social innovation, like helping the underprivileged household. Because those are for really premium household, and they're really doing well. And I also believe in the product, but it's not really mass education. So at that moment, I started looking for different learning opportunities. And then, as I said, we start to be like a consultant. We have projects helping the corporate to allocate the resources to help the underprivileged schools and students. That's how we started.
And you also become a mother.
Yeah, I was a mother of 2.
But you still are. Well, I think that I also want to. I don't know how many people first started the organization. So I know Ju, so Principal Ju, the 33-year-old principal, Erwin, and then Bibiann. Is there any other female figure in that group? So you're the only one. Do you? I'm just curious because I hear a lot. I was I'm a podcast junkie, so I hear a lot of podcasts, and a lot when the female comes in, everyone gets to ask that. I don't know if that annoys you or not. But how does that, does it make a difference being only female in the group? Is it an advantage? Do you see that
For me, when I'm working, I'm kind of like a man.
Oh, okay.
But you need to ask those questions to the men.
You need a mother in the company anyway.
You need a mother in the company?
Yeah,
You don't see
I
any
don't see any
difference?
difference because
That's good.
the previous job I was already flying frequently. Yeah, I don't
All the
see a
business
very big difference as
Business person, not a businessman or businesswoman. Just a.
I think there is an
Right.
advantage of female working in education business or social innovation because it's really the
Attention to detail.
attention to details and really very empathy on people's feelings.
I imagine as a parent, you can talk to a parent a lot more easily.
That too, yes.
Right?
What do you think could be done to the exam system? Because I know DreamStarter is like from a small age from primary school, you're trying to implement some new kind of learning system. But what about on the other end when they're about to finish like high school DSC? Because the whole HKEA in Hong Kong, the exam system, the DSC and also the TSA, it really affects how like the whole curriculum of the traditional learning journey. What have you ever thought of changing that, like convincing them to kind of change the whole exam curriculum, to change the exam materials to more fit into the DreamStarters, like your visions? Any thoughts on that?
I think we are on the movement of doing that. We're not really, very deliberately saying that we are driving to change the examination system, but more and more people on board making this a very strong voice in, showing that it's very hard to really, eliminate or really make a big change to the examination system. But you can see more and more schools, they're changing IB system. And then more universities, places are going to non-JUPAS or non-DSE students.
In our top majors, social business, global business, last year they announced that 60% is coming in from JUPAS and then 40 is non. But that's a lot already.
Yeah.
Usually it's 80, 10, 20, but now it's 40, 60. But they're starting to talk about 60 here, 40 there. So when JUPAS, which is the high school exam system, it's not being the important tool for university acceptance, then the balance will be. So, and IB is a very interesting thing because IB is an international way towards an exam, and then IB is a lot more around, and then IB can be implemented in multiple ways. IBDP, which is the last 2 years, and then IB, MYP, and then smaller. All those can be. MYP is very much like DreamStarter. So one of our side projects that we're working on is actually DreamStarter IB. And then, and obviously today we are very busy doing whatever we are doing, but we are already looking into potentially one day one of our dreams is actually bring this back to Scandinavia, bring this back so that we be able to actually scale it up and actually move back down. There's no reason IB is expensive. The IB usually is tied to international school, and then usually it costs more. But IB as an exam is actually not expensive. IB teachers training, not necessarily more expensive than the local systems. So it's just a supply and demand thing. So IB is IB not scalable? Well, in France it's pretty scalable. So somehow if we can find a way to actually scale that will work. That's how things go.
Linkage to IB rather than DSC.
Well then, DSC is here. When you get enough of these to actually overtake them, they will be forced to. Then they will say, "Wow, we all know it's all IDSE, right?" So they change the name and actually do the things and so on. But it's all government official type thing. Hong Kong, one of the biggest problem. It's DSE is under EA, and that DSE system is actually not under Education Bureau. So I actually have a chance to actually talk to the bureau chief that they have no control over those people, and that's a problem. But that's the same problem in Korea, same problem in China, same problem in Singapore because the exam is so tough, and everybody needs to go to tutorial school to actually get through it. So all these are very difficult. Not now, but over time we'll get there. We're just, yeah.
And I think, yes, sorry, I just want to follow up your question. I always believe that the best system should have multiple options. We're not going to replace the old way of, well, I grew up in Hong Kong. I go through the examination. Of course, it's quite a painful journey along the way, but a lot of the people, they do well in examinations. They find a good job, they
Works for them.
had a good life. So some people are actually benefiting from it, but not all. Now we're talking about, we are asking 100% of our students, if not like 90% of students, they need to go through this path and they need to be assessed through these very narrow subjects. And that is a problem. So, well, for me, I'm not saying that all of the students say that they shouldn't, take the examination or they should change the IB or what. But even if they're very good at the scores, or even if they're doing very well in examination, they should have a chance to dream, right? They should have another options or other learning journeys, other experience to go through when they are studying their 13 years in the secondary school and primary school. It's not all about every day about homework, about, examinations. So, and I think it's a movement. Like when you ask the employers, they would say, oh, I prefer, maybe students taking IB or, they're more outgoing or they're more, innovative, stuff like that. But this is the trend. You might say it's a pressure or some voices from the employer, and then they will create certain demand from the universities, maybe from the admission, system, and then it further goes down to secondary school. What are the candidates they're looking for, and the secondary school looking at the primary school. So it's like layer after layer. So we are going at the top. So we're working with the employers. We're making them understand that we have this kind of thing. So when you are looking at your candidates, or when you are looking at your admission system, you should look for students who have these kind of experience. So yeah, it's a balance.
But let's say that portfolio, after you do all these things, if you're able to articulate what you have done, now it's very difficult because the exam doesn't talk about these things. So having a system that shows people that can do things is actually useful. So all around the world, we're talking about a new way of system that will assess people over the journey. Think about all these reflections that you're doing last week. It's just 1 point, 1.5 points something. But basically it's designed. But if you don't do it enough, you fail yourself. If you just do it, you basically pass. And that's a very interesting way to actually look at the exam system. It does not always have to be in the end. Can we measure the journey? And these are all new ways of talking about it. The UST being one of the more innovative universities in Hong Kong, we are actually actively doing it. I must say so. Because I just had another talk with a Hong Kong professor, and then he said, well, this is so ridiculous. Why are you measuring all these things? I said, well, but if I don't measure it, you guys don't do it. So somehow
just voluntarily
do it and show it, right? And show it, right? And so, but all these are small change that we are starting to see.
I think DreamStarter is such an interesting organization. There's so many aspects of it that we haven't had a chance to touch upon, like how to scale up, because that's a problem that a lot of schools in European countries, they have this happy learning all along, but they have problems scaling up. But DreamStarter in Hong Kong is doing exactly that, and also how they mobilize the school, mobilize the teachers, the parents are hard to convince, I can only imagine. So I think there's so many things that we would love to continue the conversation. Maybe you guys can make an arrangement with Erwin to talk more about it and learn more about it.
This is all the schools.
Yeah, and we'll visit the school. I think I went to the pitching day, it's so cute. The kids they're really, really creative, and you can see the difference in their eyes when they talk about things they're passionate about. It's so different. You have to go and experience it. I think it's not something I can share or articulate at this point. But I think one last question for me, I guess two, because I know we asked you to stay until maybe 20 a.m. which you have your time. One is, how much of this do you contribute to luck, or is it like DreamStarter success? Do you contribute to luck, or is it the talent that you have, or hard work? So how much of this is want? And then also, what is your dream? Since you talk a lot about the story.
My dream is to have my own foundation to really support the underprivileged kids. It's always, my calling. Back then when I was in the school, when I was a student, after that lunchbox incident, I run the student union, and then we don't do the girls and boys school ball, Christmas ball. We organize visits to the orphanage instead of doing a ball. Yeah. So this is always what I really want to help those students, children who have less opportunities or perspective when they're growing up. It's a big difference in Hong Kong. Like if your background, if you're from underprivileged household compared to those who have resources, it's a big difference. But I think it's a very big gap. If you're growing up in London or in other places, it's not that costly to have exposure. Like in London,
It's much more accessible.
because of the culture or because of more opportunities.
All the museums are free.
Yes, if you go to London, if you grew up in London, and then the National Museum is free, British History Museum is free, Hyde Park is free, right?
It's really
So
fantastic.
you could have a lot of exposure, and your life is more diverse.
Right.
But in Hong Kong, everything is charged. Yes.
The price tag.
Yes. And then I really hope that the underprivileged children will have more exposure. So this is one of my dreams.
And how much of
A lot. I think, yes. I don't know, a lot of people are doing very similar things actually. I wouldn't say that we are, very innovative, like people never think about doing this in the school. No, a lot of people are doing this, and then they're trying to promote different programs in the school. We're very lucky that in the second year, we encountered 4 new principals. They're really into that. They always say that my passion in driving DreamStarter is not less than me as a co-founder. They said they want to really drive this program and then have a lot of parents and students who want to participate in this program. So I think we're really lucky to have. But I think it's also about the kindness. If you're on the right track, you can attract the people who have the same kindness mindset to come together and then to do it. It's not like talking business deals, or it's about technique, it's about money, or it's about really people are very willing to get on board because they have the same mindset and same mission. So I guess it's that.
wow? Well,
Of course, everybody is hardworking and then putting effort.
right.
Yeah, but I would be very grateful to have met these people.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.